Hello and welcome back to High Traffic Ideas Podcast. I am your host, Ronnie West of iMagnet Management, and we are here in the Gale Force Studios. Once again, we are here to kind of help give you some high traffic ideas for your small business, your side hustle, whatever your passion is. I want to be able to kind of deliver and educate you on a bunch of different marketing and video and all kinds of different things within that space. And today, once again, I have a guest with me. I want to bring on Tyler, one of my good friends within the marketing industry, in the window film industry. So thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
Dude, the window film industry is going strong here with the marketing people. So it's a pleasure to be here as one of the few, the proud, the window film marketers. So
No, I appreciate you coming on. We go back, like you're talking about window film. We met at WFCT probably 3 years ago now. I already forgot what city it was in. And so we had our booths next to each other. I think like the last couple of years, you guys have been growing. You have to be out handshaking, and so you got people working the booth, but by far still one of the best food reviewers that's out there. I think
let's
have
go.
yet to kind of
That's exactly what I want my accolades to be, because I do pride myself on having good opinions on food.
No, by far, I would definitely say if you're not posting about them, or if there's not some place that you've got out there where you've been reviewing, and I have high expectations for San Antonio to know what places I need to go check out when we head down
this
there.
year, I'll actually be at San Antonio because last year I had a baby, so I couldn't be there. So
that's right. That's right.
I missed out.
You did. But in any case, no, I appreciate you coming on. You guys, and I didn't know how to introduce. You guys have such a big portfolio within kind of the MGT Films, Cam, EDH. To me, I think you guys have been doing so much, and I know it's even more. Since we first met, I think things have kind of, I don't want to say exploded, but they've definitely been growing at a large trajectory. And obviously, I know Eddie way back in the day, that kind of is who you kind of work with. And so what, at least kind of over the last couple of years, are you kind of taking away from just this growth that has gone on, especially like you said, the window film industry continues to grow and build. And now I think it's something that it used to be such a niche industry, and now it's even become much bigger. So what have you noticed over the last few years as far as that goes?
So when you and I met, I think at that point it was like MGT and like EDH was like the beginnings of an idea. When I first started working with you, and ever since then, we are a window film company portfolio of 5 major companies now. So we have Dalo Glass Tinting in St. Louis, Campbell Window Film in California. We have Michigan Glass Coatings in Michigan, obviously. We have MGT in Mississippi, Chicago, Louisiana, and Milwaukee. And then we have EDH Film Group in Dallas, Houston, Oklahoma City right now. So we have a large operation. I'd say we're about like 20 million in revenue now. I don't know, probably more, because I think we're on track to exceed our revenue projections from this year. So
no, that's awesome, especially too from me being in the warehouse. And it's funny just of watching the growth of just MGT to start. And now I've got, it's almost over a decade now of watching you guys continually grow. It's something I'm proud of, and I'm not even really associated with it. I think we kind of worked together for a few years, but it's still something because it's people I know and good people within the industry. And so it's exciting to kind of see that and just kind of whatever kind of comes next. But yeah, that just of seeing that growth is awesome to see.
No, I mean, Eddie's been making deals and getting us to grow, and he's been just making all these really good connections that have led to these like mergers and acquisitions. And His goal is that as we grow and get bigger, a lot of other people will come in and they'll just be like, all right, we're rebranding you guys, taking this brand that you've built for like 50 years and we're going to like move on from it and you're going to join the mothership, which like I totally respect the hustle on that. I respect like that direction, but the direction we go in is like legacy preservation. We come in, we want to keep the name that the owner has built. And we want to keep the impact that that company has done on the community. And we just keep running with that brand name. So for me, for a lot of the other people, it makes it really easy for them to market because they just have one brand if they do the one brand method. But for me, I juggle 5 different window film companies plus cam on top of that. So it's a fun time.
Oh, that's great. And I think that's something I at least want to get into with anybody that is trying to grow or do different things. What do you think has been some of the biggest changes for yourself as far like we had kind of gave me some notes like management wise, as far as going from kind of running the show yourself to kind of managing other people, whether it's it, and I know you probably have learned from a lot of different great leaders and business owners and stuff. What do you feel that his again, this is trying to boast yourself here a little bit. What are kind of the things that you've noticed within yourself as far as if someone who is you back when we met, what would you kind of give yourself that advice up until this point to kind of fast track it or at least kind of things to look at as far as kind of that marketing, leadership, management kind of growth aspect?
You know, there's so much that I would tell myself because I think the transition from going from a doer, like doing everything myself, to a delegator is a difficult track to do, especially for someone who like wants it done a certain way and wants it done to a certain level of perfection. I had to learn how to delegate and let go and what that looks like to do that successfully. But I'd say like kind of the 2 things that I would teach myself, like the lessons I've learned the hardest are you can't be people's friend and their boss. There's this like, I think I learned this the hard way that like you can be friendly to the team, but the team has to respect you and they have to be like, if I don't meet deadlines, if I don't do this, that they're think that that's not okay. It's not just like, oh yeah, whatever, that's fine. And I think I took that too leniently. But I'd say the second thing, Gary Vee is a big proponent of this. Be quick to hire, be quick to fire. I actually fired my first person this week, which was crazy. And I think that if I had been able to, you have to understand what metrics will and won't work, and you have to know that early on. And so for me, I think hiring quick and seeing if that person's a good culture fit and a good talent fit is really important. And you should be able to assess that within, 30 to I think 60 days at most. So for me, and I wish I'd known that more. I wish that like I had worked that muscle. And I think that there's things like that I understood really well going into it that I wish that I'd understood more. So I think if I had told myself 3 things, it would be know your craft, like know it so specifically. A good leader doesn't ask people to do things that they themselves don't know how to or are unwilling to do and have no idea about. You can't lead somebody if you don't know how to tell them what to do. And then secondly, quick to hire, quick to fire. Number 3, lead people first, be their friend second when it comes to a work environment. So that's things that I wish I knew better. But
no, that's great advice. At least having gone through a similar thing as far as growth, and at least for me, I think it's hard, like you said, whether it's you're in a position of leadership or a business owner in general, at least for me, of understanding the business owner aspect, I can't be an operator and an owner at the same time. So I definitely, I think the delegation is the biggest thing. And maybe this is something that you've noticed within yourself as far as just like you said, I've always felt like I'm going to be the best one for what I want to kind of get across. But you have to kind of let that go. How has the training essentially evolved of teaching that person that you've hired quickly? Is that something that you guys have like a a solid process for? I think, or how valuable do you feel that the training in order to get across? And it's something I've definitely seen with Alex Hormozy recently, as far as you have to pull yourself out, and how hard, like you mentioned, that was pretty hard. But I think if you have a regimented training system to kind of let people know, hey, this is exactly how I want things to go, so that at least you're getting maybe 80% of what you feel that you would have done.
Well, I think for me, one of the things that took us a longer time to do was to kind of find the direction that we wanted to go in, like for where the quality standard was. Because for website development, I had this dream, like of an interactive website where people could come in and they could play with it, they could experience the product, which, like, I understand that like most websites just need to be optimized for conversions. You got to have your book now. You got to have a form right on the front of the page if you're paying to send people there. But I also wanted to have some of those components. So for me, I had kind of like a couple of people who I work with, and we ended up developing these templates that we really felt strongly about, that help the customer not just like have an opportunity to contact us easily, but that the page is interactive, that you can play with it and you can have fun. And the hardest part of like the training for all of that, the most difficult thing to impart, is being able to teach people about our industry. You know, before I met Eddie, before I met Tommy, I literally had never heard of window film in my whole life before. I had never heard of like tinting for buildings. I'd barely even heard of tinting for cars at that point in my life. And now to see this like deep iceberg that is the window film industry, you have to convey that whole iceberg to your team members, because I really like what Simon Sinek says. It's about starting with why. And I think when one of those indicators of if somebody's going to be a good fit early on is if they can get your why and internalize it, which for us is that we make windows better. That's it. Like if somebody asks me to say, what do I do in a sentence? We make windows better. That's all we do. We, you know, have a solution for security, for decorative, for solar, for, you know, a whole array of things. Like we do window treatments, we do riot glass. And for me, it's that like people who come to my site understand that we'd make people's windows better, that our customers' experience comes first. And so for me, that's like one of those things. And then like that's the kind of the hardest part of training, I would say, is just like getting our industry instilled in people, but like in a way that they're excited about it, not just a way that they're like, I get it, I know what it is, but it's like, yes, this is great. Like people's houses are going to get better when they get this product in there. So I'd say that's kind of the like what makes someone like okay at the job. Like you could be talented, you could be really good. Like I had a guy who was working for me. He was super talented. He was super smart, but you know, he wasn't proactive. He didn't understand what I was asking for him to like convey to my customers, or what my customers were looking for from me. And he just kind of like played a numbers game to see. And I was like, no, this guy doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. Like, this is what we want for our company. And so those are just some of the things that like are very important to me with staff members, that they have that level of expectation, you know?
No, that makes sense. And like you said, I think I had maybe less of a push into the deep end than maybe you did, coming on and understanding window film, having been in the warehouse. But it took me a while to fully understand whether the difference between prestige, night vision, security film, like all the different pieces that come with different window films, and then much less all of the different brands that are kind of out there. So I think, like you mentioned, just trying to understand it and get into it. And the fact that I think window film, whether it's, and granted, you guys are, I think, primarily more on the flat glass side. I know you guys have done auto and some different stuff. As far as just kind of my understanding in the industry as a whole, whether it's PPF, ceramic coating, flat glass, and auto, what are kind of the biggest trends or stuff? Like we mentioned at the beginning with the window film industry, is just, like you said, it is this giant iceberg. How do you chomp into it and eat this iceberg, or try to get pieces up to kind of share or distribute? How do you guys kind of attack that and try to, in order to not just inform the people that you're working with, but I think one of the things that we've always talked about for a lot of our clients is I want to inform the person that's on the other end of the computer. How do they understand and know, like, how is this product going to benefit me? And then how do you target that? What are your guys' ideas? Obviously, don't give away any state secrets that you guys have.
Nah,
but I think
I'd have to kill you otherwise. Good luck to me, man. You're in the Army and you know what you're doing, but or you were in the Army, so you know what you're doing. But
I'm a few years removed from it, so I can't say lethal as I was. But no, I think just what is your game plan when you kind of like the overarching ideas as far as how do you market window film, like you said, to a lot of people that don't fully understand this industry or even realize that it exists. And people, I think, know of auto tint, but I think a lot of homeowners, a lot of business owners don't know the advantages of having their giant living room window tinted or their big storefront or their lobby to help with cooling costs. Like, what are kind of the things that you guys are attacking as far as that goes?
I think it's less the how and it's more the the method of attack, and it's more the how behind or the why behind the attack. Because for us, it's less about like, I think if you're a sales rep, right, and you show up to a customer's house and I'm like, hey, I know you had me out here like because of this, but I also have decorative and I also have this and I also have this, and people shut down right away when you start bringing up stuff that they were like, I didn't ask you into my home to sell me security products. I didn't ask you. I wanted solar film for my window. And I think for us, it's returning to the customer persona and noticing what the pain points are and having that kind of come up through everything that we do, whether it's top of funnel, middle of funnel, or bottom of funnel, that we are listening to the customers, hearing what they want and answering those things effectively with whatever strategy we're employing, whether it's paid ads, meta, whether it's our salespeople or at a trade show. It's that we are taking their pain points, the things that they're like, oh man, like I wish I could see my TV, and or I like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I can never get to watch TV. Like the other day I was like, man, I need window film in my house. But it's about giving the customers what they want and not pushing things on them that they don't want. Because I think a lot of film is such like there's like solar, there's decorative, there's security, there's custom graphics, there's all sorts of things. And like, it's this like shotgun blast to the chest when you try to like give the products out to everybody. I've done that at trade shows. Like I've been like, dude, no, I do this. And they just turn off right away. But if they're like, that heat lamp on your desk, tell me more about that. What's going on there? And then you have to explain and like listen and ask them. So like, do you have this at your house? Okay. Do you experience glare, or like, what is the thing that like, what problem could I do to make your windows better is kind of the method that I approach. That's with my marketing. That's with my websites. That's with any of our salespeople that are going out there. Is that's the mentality we want to instill, is that it's how do we make your windows better? So
yeah, no, like you said, it's definitely overwhelming, and especially for someone who doesn't know. And I think, like you mentioned, going to trade shows or being in person is kind of different than anything online. And so I'm going to hit you with this as far as your high traffic idea. I know we had kind of discussed some AI, like what things are you noticing or thinking that is one of your best ideas that you either want to start doing or that you've noticed in the past that's been beneficial? And whether it's involving AI or not, is there something that you feel is important if you were speaking to, whether it's a small tint shop or somebody else who's kind of coming up wanting to do something similar in the same kind of growth pattern that you guys have? Is there a way or some sort of high traffic idea as far as marketing your window tint shop that you think is important to kind of hit on?
My high traffic idea, if I had to say it in a sentence, is making videos that convey your brand and value in a way that converts into revenue. I think that they're meta, I think, in awareness, or let me rewind here. So on the marketing funnel, you have your top of funnel, your middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. And right now, like Google AdWords, Patrick Francisco, shout out to him. He's like the ultimate legend of like window film pay-per-click. Like I have interacted with everybody, and Patrick Francisco is one of those people who loves the product and just like is such a nerd, loves math. Like Patrick, I'm not calling you a nerd, but you have to be smart with numbers to understand pay-per-click. And I think that like there's a lot of really successful players like you guys at iMagnet doing a great job of pay-per-click and running that. But I think the place that the window film industry just falls flat on its face is awareness. Like I told you, I'd never heard of window film. There's so many people that like go, what is that? When I tell them about window film, nobody knows. And I was telling this to Dan Borowski when I was at lunch with him yesterday, is that like the biggest thing that anyone can do is create awareness for window film. I think if we as an industry got together and said, we are all going to contribute, manufacturers, distributors, dealers, everybody going, all right, let's make videos that address customers' pain points with like creative and valuable hooks that tell people this is what we need to do, or like just like continuing to illustrate that and educate them on like, why do my floors fade, or why is my like room so hot, and then going, this is window film technology. It's not just window film, it's technology. This is like something that goes on your glass. With 3M, like their most recent films have like hundreds of layers in them, which is crazy to me. I could be totally misquoting that, but they have tons of layers in their film. Ronnie can correct me. He knows. He was the guy who like distributed it all for like
I sliced my fingers all that stuff. Yes, there are, we'll say, many multiple layers. There are a lot of layers to it. Yes.
And like, this is like technology that has been thought out so carefully and designed to perform in like any environment, which is crazy. It could work at your home, your school, your business, wherever. And I think the biggest issue in the window film industry is that there's no one creating awareness. There's no one creating buzz. Like I think of like the purple mattress campaign, or I think of people who have done those like engaging ads. I was like, man, if 3M would come out, or if, thumbs up. If there was like a player in the space who wanted to like make the biggest difference for the film industry, it would be doing a mass marketing campaign like that and just getting the product in front of people and making them know what it is. You know, I think of like some successful ideas that like I've seen work. I think of like Solo Stove from like the smokeless fire pit, and how like years ago nobody thought of that, and now all of a sudden it's like smokeless fire pits are everywhere, or at least for me. Maybe that's not for everybody, but you know, they're everywhere. Purple mattress everywhere. People, it's a household name now, and I think that in the same way that like Scotch tape is a household name, and I think in the same way that I don't know, like Post-it notes is a household name, I want to see window film be like a thing that people are just like, oh yeah, that's as common as like shingles or new windows or, you know, flooring or cabinets or whatever. And I think that if people understood the value that it brings, there are some people who need it desperately who would benefit from it greatly. So that's my high traffic idea for the window film industry, at least.
No, I love it. Too bad I didn't get my thumbs up too. No, I think that's been something that was kind of the motivation for me to even start a marketing company. And I'm not trying to knock any of the major distributors, but yes, I exactly felt that there needed to be more awareness around this. There needed to be more content, more informative things around the window film of why do you have this film? And it's definitely been something I've been pushing to a lot of our clients is, yes, we can create this content and use stock imaging and use these different things to kind of highlight whether it's a cool living room window or a business. But the thing that's going to make the impact, whether you're a tint shop, distributor, whoever it might be, is showing your product solving a customer's problem. And especially with the smaller tint shops, showing that like local effect. Hey, this is the storefront that we tinted. They had this issue, and this is why we put this solar control film on. Versus kind of, yes, you can go and use AI to create images, and everybody's going to kind of get tired of AI eventually, but showing the real product, you, the real installer, kind of going out there and doing that has been something I'm passionately telling a lot of our clients. So I definitely agree that I think we're both kind of hoping that there's going to be this, whether it's getting over this hump of like being this industry that not many people know about, that I think that's why I think we're as good of friends as we are, is because we're trying to push this same boulder up the hill as far as trying to get the awareness of people seeing like, hey, this is a beneficial product. It would help you. And let's get this out to more people.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I have something cooking in the oven right now. It's like probably a little while away, but I'm cooking something right now. And I'm hoping that it comes to fruition soon as far as like awareness campaigns go, but it's something that is like coming soon from EDH Film Group. So
no, we'll have to have you back on to whether it's launch a trailer or do something to kind of
I'd love to come. I'd love to come launch a trailer for some of the stuff that we're doing. So
no, but
I mean, it's been crazy. I mean, we have just exploded, like you said, and even at like the 3M Awards, we were nominated in the top 4, like for all window film companies across the whole country. And to think that like 3 years ago, EDH was just this small thing, and now to see EDH be in the top 4 for National Window Film Dealer of the Year at 3M was crazy to see that we were nominated this year. So
no, that's awesome. Congratulations. And so I think that's, and we work with a few companies where it's like, those are the things I think bringing more awareness to kind of the companies that have that growth because of whether it's the marketing efforts, the sales team, having the proper installers and kind of that whole cohesiveness of all of those, the pieces that kind of work together. So with kind of piggybacking off of you have something cooking, I don't need to get into any details. I will leave that as be, but you do just, or I should say, you just launched a new marketing company with your brother, which we're probably going to have to come on and have a conversation with both of you.
Oh man.
And it looks like, to me, great video quality, at least as far as a few of the stuff you've come out with. You guys are talking about the different brands that you worked with, which has been really impressive. What makes you excited about the potential of what you're going to be able to do now? And just obviously working with family or brothers, I'm sure is always fun. Like we talked about pre-show of just kind of the chemistry between the two of you. How does that work? What are you excited about? And tell us what potential with that could be.
No, so Newman Brothers Company, if you are in Nashville and you are a home service based business, we're coming for you. We're going to do your marketing eventually. And just like I talked about with what the film industry needs, we need highly engaging, high performing ads that have high viewer retention and high conversion. Luke, my brother, is someone who has been a creator since he was like in middle school. Like he was different. He was like, I want to make video essays for my teachers. Like I want to, like film just like random things and make recap videos. And Luke has done video his whole life. He's just like done like all sorts of things. And Luke has now like worked with DJI. I remember he worked their booth at, I want to say CES or one of those places. So Luke worked with those people, and then Luke has worked with Mr. Beast as a videographer before. Like Luke has made it all the way up there. And so Luke has all these accolades in the video world. And Luke understands just how that works. And for me, I've had all this tremendous experience with Eddie at EDH Film Group. I understand how home service business marketing goes. Dude, me and the thumbs up today. I love this. Just understanding how home service business marketing works, understanding the need for awareness for those, and the value, I would say 3. And this is what I didn't get into in my high traffic idea, which is making a local brand that's recognizable. You're in Chicago like me, and I don't know if you watch the Cubs on the Marquee app, but there's been so many people on there doing ads, and there are a lot of companies building these local successful brands where people could like be like, that's the guy from that commercial, and like know who that is. And when you guys advertise on Meta, when you guys put a spend out there and you put your face in front of people as an owner of a company, that's what makes people connect with you. That makes them think, when my furnace breaks, when my, shingles need to be replaced, or when my window breaks, I've seen this guy. He's built trust with me. This is something that has like been a progressive journey over a longer period of time. And I know this person's face. I see them on social media ads all the time. The value of having a brand where people in your geo recognize you and like point you out in a crowd is invaluable in the service industry. Like that's something they can never take away from you. Like Google could ban you from like advertising. Meta, as we all know, bans people from advertising every day for no reason. But you won't lose that. If you're someone who's recognizable, someone who's part of the community, they can't take that away from you. And if people trust you, that's really what I think makes a huge difference. If you're a service business owner, people want to be able to see you and understand just like what your product is and that you're passionate about it. Most importantly, I think of like brands like Gordon Ramsay, where it's like, this guy cares about the quality. He's excited about the product that he sells. And like, this guy is someone I recognize. And like, you don't have to be Gordon Ramsay level, but man, like be someone in the community that people know. Like, man, people see you in the local Facebook groups. People see you on Nextdoor. People see you, on Meta, on advertisements, and that like you should like have people at the mall recognize you for like just who you are and what you do. So,
yeah. No, it's funny coming down here from Minnesota. As soon as you said that, I immediately thought of like 2 different car dealerships. I think at least in Minnesota, there's Rudy Luther, and obviously I've got connections with Chris Lindahl Real Estate. I used to play basketball and went to high school with him. To me, like you hear these names and you know them. When I came down here to Chicago, it was Bob Rohrman was on like every single commercial that I like within like a couple of weeks, I knew who this guy was. And so I think that's, like you said, having brand awareness, and that comes from, just like what you had mentioned earlier, comes from video content. You're only going to be able to be seen by creating this content, being consistent with it. And so with that, I'm had a quick quiz for you as far as how would you rank kind of the social media platforms, like especially if you are let's just say a service small business. Do you have kind of a hierarchy as far as what you feel you should rank them as? And we could maybe not so much Google ads, but as far as like the social media platforms, if you're going to create that brand awareness, where do you feel it's important to be?
So I actually made a video about this. It was going to be an organic piece of content.
I did not know.
And then my brother totally roasted me over the coals for my video quality. He said, Tyler, he's like, this is not the exact quality. This is exactly what I'm talking about, though. A good product, like you don't compromise on it. One of our company values with Luke is that we don't put out content that we aren't proud of. Like that is a rule that we have. If we wouldn't post every single one of the ads we're giving these people on our own Facebook page, we don't post them. We don't deliver them to the client. But as you were saying, if I had to tier list, I'm going to go marketing channels for a tier list if you would rather, unless you want me to do social platforms. I'm going to save S tier for last. Google SEO and Google Ads, I would say, is A tier right now. They produce consistent results. They do a great job. AdWords gets you those people who are waiting and like ready to buy. But I do think that there is going to come a time where Google gets made irrelevant. I do think that you should be advertising. You should be doing SEO. You should be doing AdWords. If you're not doing those, you're missing out. Because on SEO, you're missing out on AEO, AI engine optimization. And so making sure that you guys are ranking in those. And then Google AdWords is just, these are people who are like, put the fries in the bag. I want to buy something right away. So A tier, we have those two. Waste of time, Yelp. You're going to get a phone call from somebody offering you $300 in Yelp ads. I can tell you very confidently that unless you do automotive, then maybe it would work for you. But I can tell you as a flat glass tinner, and for most people, it's going to be a waste of money. But like, don't like, make sure your profile's up to date. Make sure you have photos. Make sure you get like at least, I'd say 10 to 15 good reviews on there, and you can set that and forget it and let it be an asset to your company, because that ranks you on Google, on Apple Maps. That gets you some clout with the AI as well. But paying for ads on Yelp, I can't tell you anybody I know who's Googling or who's going to Yelp to tell me the best window tinter in Chicago. You know, that's just my experience. Angie, same deal, waste of money. S tier, I would say, is Google My Business profiles. Google My Business profile is just like, it's free. You just have to ask for reviews and like post pictures, and it prints money for you. Like, that is the easiest way. Like, if you want to make an extra $100, open some more Google My Business profiles. Like, it's not hard. And if you need a partner to do that, Ronnie is a great dude. He knows how to do that.
Thank you.
iMagnet knows. They opened 100 of them for us, and he spent the better part of an afternoon transferring primary ownership over to me. S tier also is Meta. Meta is S tier. Meta is really good. Meta is like the only place that has really mastered ad distribution. It's the only place that is really set up to like get high amounts of conversions and do that well with an audience that's mature enough to spend money, especially in home service, in the home service industry. I'd say B tier is TikTok. You should be posting on it. You should have your handle. If you're making ads for Meta or making short form content, you should be posting it on there. I would say that like that's organic social. Organic social as a whole is A tier, I would say right now, because it's a very high bar of entry, like to get in. But once you're in, then it's like S plus tier. Like, you can't beat organic social. Like, that's actually something that they cannot take away from you unless you were to get like banned on social. So yeah, I think that's my hot take. I don't know if any of those were hot takes.
No, and at least it kind of leads into this, because I'm curious as far as the things that you're noticing, because one of the things that I always mention to people, and again, this is my take on it, I completely agree, Google business profiles, it's something I've talked to 2 clients before coming on the call with you about the going and looking at their profile and be like, you need more reviews, you need the images, you need the updates, kind of, because that's, like you said, how you're going to show up organically, because if you turn the ads off, how else are you going to get seen? And social wise, I'm just curious your take on the ones that I usually talk about, especially for flat glass dealers, is, and we had talked about, you took a screenshot for LinkedIn. Do you notice anything with LinkedIn as far as having your business set up on there? Because especially with commercial, at least in my experience, I've noticed more of the decision makers are going to be on LinkedIn. It's the architects, the interior designers, the project managers. They're not on their TikTok. They're not on X as much. They're going to be checking their LinkedIn maybe a couple times a week, and that's essentially their social media. The other one that you didn't mention that I'm curious to hear your take on is YouTube, just because of its connection with Google. To me, I feel like that's one of those that's, if you need to kind of, and it's Gary Vee has been preaching it a lot over the last month, if you're not posting YouTube shorts, as well as whether you said TikTok or on Instagram Meta, YouTube shorts are essentially going to funnel that kind of the SEO within the Google family, because they're both owned by Alphabet. And then the other one too, especially for me, I've been trying to push, and granted it's harder to get into, is the Facebook groups for residential tinting, because in my mind, I think there's a lot of suburban moms making the decisions about that. And typically Facebook is going to have that older I don't want to say older, excuse me, ladies, the more mature demographic that's going to have more income to be able to spend on that. Are there any of those things that you're noticing? And feel free to shoot any of them down with whatever you've experienced. I'm just curious to know what your thoughts are on those three.
So on those three, I'll start with LinkedIn. And this is my last thing I have, because I do have another thing coming up that I have to be at in like 5 minutes or 3 minutes, probably less than that, but that's okay. I'm always late to things. So first thing, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is good to build you as an authority in your profession. If you are a flat glass guy, or if you are an auto tint dealer, this is where you're building up your reputation as somebody who knows what they're talking about. This is a good way to land commercial clients like contractors, glazers. If you're a tinter, like an auto tinter, this is how you could land some car dealerships or something like that. That's where you want to build your authority. And for me, it's really important that I'm posting on there, because I want to have people understand that I'm a marketer and I know what I'm talking about in the window film space. Posting for YouTube Shorts, I think, is absolutely an S tier move. It's not hard. It's like almost like an SEO version of, like, it's like answering questions is going to be your best bet on YouTube Shorts. So if you aren't, it's like an easy thing that you could just film in an afternoon. And if nobody else is doing it, you're going to win. But the end goal is that the thought is, at the end of the day, is who wins the AI race? Because right now that's kind of the biggest question, because if Gemini loses the AI race, I don't know if Claude or these other models are being trained off of YouTube. And like, I think that there'll be always multiple of them, but I think there's going to be some winners and I think there's going to be some losers. If you have me on again, I'd love to talk about the AI bubble and what's coming with that, because there's this whole, like, just like the .com bubble is there. There's this wonderful video I saw on YouTube that explained it super well. But essentially all these companies that print money, like Meta, Google, a few other companies that are just like printing money, are just throwing millions and millions and millions of dollars behind this, and they're losing tons of money. OpenAI hasn't made a single dollar yet. I don't know about Claude. I think Claude's actually I don't know if Claude's profitable or not, but a lot of these companies are losing money, and when you're losing money, it's a waiting game. So
no.
And then what was the third thing?
Just Facebook groups. I think
Facebook groups.
You had mentioned that quickly.
It's really hit or miss. I think if you're in the southern markets, this is very window film specific. It really depends on who you are, what you do. If you're an HVAC guy, you should be on there. If you're someone who like has a high awareness niche, you should be in there. Especially, I would give this to lawyers. If you're a lawyer, you need to be on there. On my Facebook thing, have seen probably the most requests for like divorce attorneys. I have seen a ton of requests for like civil claims attorneys, for people being like, hey, I want to know somebody who does a good job at this. And it's just kind of a waiting for the opportune moment, because you can't promote yourself on there. You can't be like, oh, hi, this is what I do. They won't let you post that in those groups. But what you can do is answer people when they ask for it. And that's one of those things where it's just, you got to be the right place, the right time. And you can't be there if you're not in the group. So
no, that makes total sense. Again, I appreciate your time. You are a busy man. We will let you get to your meeting. I don't want to hold you up, but tell Eddie I'm sorry. But no, I really appreciate you coming on and joining us. And we will definitely have you back and kind of highlight some of these AI topics and some of the other stuff, and hopefully kind of be able to launch whatever you've got coming in the future. So
if Ronnie,
thank you
anytime, I'll be here. So, all right. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Take care. This is High Traffic Ideas from the Gale Force Studio. I'm your host, Ronnie West. If you guys have any questions, hit me up on the email. I will see you guys next time.